Yo, what's good? I'm back again with an interesting discussion video. Y'all know that I do unique videos. If you know my channel, I do stuff that no one else really talks about or talks about in the way that I do. It's not bragging, it's factual. Now, this video stems from a couple different sources. Number one, it stems from some concepts I've been considering over the past few years, especially more I get into, analyze, study anime and manga, as well as study fiction in general. Anime and manga specifically because they focus more so on these abilities, but also DC and Marvel universes to a lesser degree focus upon these things. Okay, that I will be addressing this concept. When I say things, there's multiple things within this simple concept. It's simple, yet it has its complexities to it. Now, I've talked about power levels in the past, and I probably need to do more of a clarification on a broader sense in that. I've dealt with like One Piece and Dragon Ball, and I think probably a couple other series like Naruto and whatnot. Don't think I addressed Bleach and a few other series. Bleach is all over the place. It does have some sets, but it's hard because it's very, very matchup based. More so than most series. I ain't gonna say the other series because Hunter x Hunter, it does have like even maybe even more so than Hunter x Hunter and Toriko, for example. So take that for what it's worth. Like, we do have litmus tests in those series. One Piece, Dragon Ball, the series, we clearly have litmus tests. Even Naruto has clear litmus tests. Anyways, this is talking about power systems, okay? Something no one talks about. And I was kind of hinting at this in What the Hell is Nin, that video, and then one of my subscribers asked me to do this video he was actually asking about this, and then I said I'll probably do a video, something along those lines. Y'all know how I get down. If it's a long discussion, if it's something I want to go in depth about, it's something I got to consider and think about, I'm probably going to do a video. Especially if I've not talked about it in the past. I usually may reference it, or I may go over it briefly, whatever, in a comment. But power systems. Now, let's consider 3 different areas. This will be a brief video, it really will, because this is more of the introduction, I guess you could say. The title would be to power systems. Okay. Number 1, how an author or mangaka writes a system. Okay. There are 2 types for that. There's 2 categories underneath that. Number 2, how they write a system, I guess what level you can say the system is, and what type of system. How they write a system. Like I said, each of this can go into further videos in of themselves, but this will be a general overview. How they write a system. There are 2 types currently of how authors and mangakas write a system. They're not closed, but they are narrow systems, and they are open-ended systems. Now, when I'm talking about power systems, I'm talking, for example, Ki in Dragon Ball, okay? Devil Fruits and Haki in One Piece, gourmet cells and those surrounding that in Toriko, Chakra in Naruto, Nin in Hunter x Hunter, Reiatsu and its diversity in Bleach. Power systems, okay? How, magic and fairy tale. I'm just using that. You have the Speed Force to a lesser degree with Flash. It gets very dicey with DC and Marvel, but Speed Force would be an example. The magic of what Doctor Strange pulls out. Sometimes with DC and Marvel, it gets more individualistic oftentimes, the side effects, but there are power systems there. So keep that in mind. Kind of a power system in the God of War series. It's a very interesting one, that power system. I may have to do a separate video on that in itself. But anyways, those that I mentioned, the first few ones, I'll go. Most of those are open-ended. With Dragon Ball's Ki, definitely open-ended. Haki and Devil Fruits are very much open-ended. Gourmet Cell Power is open-ended. Appetite Energy, that kind of goes along with that, is open-ended. Nen is something I will bring up with this in this one, because this is the really confusing part of all of this. And you go down the list. Fairy Tail Magic, just like with Magi Labyrinth of Magic, those aren't actually open-ended, but they are narrow. And see, what I mean is, alongside Chakra, doesn't mean they cannot have expansion. But what happens versus open-ended, with Ki, we still haven't got an explanation of what the hell Ki actually is. Now we have God Ki with Dragon Ball Super. We don't know the hell. Like, we know it's natural and spiritual energy, if you will, quote-unquote energy. But we don't really, Akira Toriyama has never expressly explained that, and I think it should, but, so we can clear some things up. But we got this far and it's worked. It's very open-ended, which means it's allowed, but it doesn't allow for a bunch of ridiculousness. So he has limited it, so he doesn't have to go in depth with explaining it, which is fine. Yu Yu Hakusho, spiritual energy was definitely open-ended. Togashi did not, Yoshiro Togashi did not, put a clear limiter on it. So it took the form of various forms, various elements, various natural entities, and things of that nature. Very spiritual makeups, okay? Spiritual weapons. Okay? When in the case of One Piece with Devil Fruits and Haki, come on. If you know anything about One Piece, you know those are very open-ended. Although they have subsets, what all they can do is ridiculous. Especially Devil Fruits. But Haki is almost equally as ridiculous. It's like, damn. It can do all of that. So you have that. Toriko, oh my goodness, Gourmet Cells and that Appetite Energy, all of what it can do. And then it specializes towards the individual. So it has both open and general and specialized. Now, with the series such as Naruto, there was a clear set, which the problem with narrow is that it can, you put forth an initial limitation, and if you're not very careful, you may start getting into plot hole areas. Open-ended, it's beautiful, but you gotta put clear limits on it, okay? But it gives you wiggle room to do that down the line, okay? With Naruto, it ran into problems because it started, going crazy with the Chakra Nation in OP state, and seemingly started contradicting its rules beforehand. I said seemingly because that's very much debatable. With Nen was clearly set up, but we never got an explanation as to what Nen was. So it seemed like it was very narrow, but we never really fully explained as to what the hell Nen actually is. So now it's becoming very confusing, very convoluted, very uncertain. Then you have what's another? Magi Labyrinth of Magic. Magi Labyrinth of Magic is one of the best narrow systems of power, where you have the specific type of magics, you have the specific type of gem, you have the specific type of thing, and we ride with that. And you have limits on, the Magoi and things of that nature. It was very well structured. It allowed for expansion, but whenever there was an anomaly, well, you were an anomaly. It just was a very individual, like King Sinbad, King Solomon, Elder David, the Magi themselves. Okay, you were an anomaly, so you bypassed the normal rules. But then you have the finalist class. The finalist clan is my clan, people. Anyways, like I said, I can go in depth on another video on that, but we gotta keep it moving. Now, levels. Okay. This is very important because you have to establish how close to our world, this world, you want to get. Once you start getting into OP and hacks, it's just fine. You can give them to near God, like near demigod, like near God, or God, like near omnipotent, near omniscient. It has to make sense. It has to be consistent. You can't have someone fight. Toriko did this beautifully. Okay, for example, we knew Toriko was bound for craziness because he already came out the gate with the strength of 10 men easily. Already was doing moves that were superhuman, that were beyond human capacity. So we knew stuff was up. One Piece, Luffy came out the gate. You have to establish the potential. You cannot have dudes be getting shot down by pistols in chapter 1 or episode 1, and by doggone episode 100, dudes are all of a sudden blowing up planets. Understand this. The only way you can justify that is possibly Mecha. You have to go technical. Or you have to build up these humans to be ridiculous. Or have to say, that was like normal people and we have these super... You have to establish levels. There are levels to this. And that's all I'll say for now. But the establishment of levels is vital for continuity, for not retconning. Bad retcons, by the way. That's an issue that Superman Kal-El faces all the time. What level are we talking about when we're talking about canon Kal-El? That's imperative. It's imperative. Because then the author, mangaka, or those who come later begin to defy the logic and reason that was previously set. Unless you're reset, unless it's another world or universe, which DC and Marvel love to do, but don't often execute it properly, then you're going to screw up everything that you previously established. Now it gets very confusing. Now it's, it's plot holes. It's plot hole central. Okay? And moving into the last thing, types. Okay? Types of powers, systems. Now, I already mentioned how an author or mangaka makes it. I mentioned the levels and the types. Types of power systems, you can say really 5. Okay? And you can use any or all of these in it. Like I said, this is a brief overview journal. Number 1, you have elemental. Number 2, you have ethereal / otherworldly supernatural. Number 3, you have tech. Okay, very technologically based, scientifically based in that fashion. Number 4, you have thought or spiritual, things of that nature. And number 5, you have other. And other is, for example, actually withstands. Let me think of what other do. JoJo's has, let's see, elemental, a natural phenomenon, let's see, tech, scientific, ethereal. Let's see. What would be, I'm trying to remember, what's an example of other? Most fall into those 4 categories. I'm trying to think. Other would probably, I guess, devil fruits in a lot of cases. Paramecia. Yeah, there are certain paramecias that don't apply to element. Logias apply to elemental. Let's see, what did I say? You got the spiritual one. You got the tech base. You have otherworldly abilities, supernatural potentially. Yeah, other definitely some devil fruits I think would apply to that. What other abilities? There are others, but that's the one that's coming off the top of my head at the moment. But yeah, man, and I don't think you can go beyond really any of those abilities. I mean, either of those types. If you can think of another type, that would be great and phenomenal. There may be another type, but other pretty much encompasses everything else. That's just, outrageous. Because it's very hard to come up with something creative that makes sense, that doesn't apply to elemental natural forces, that doesn't apply to ethereal, otherworldly, supernatural abilities that doesn't apply to tech-based scientific progress. Elemental can be organic as well, or you can do that with tech. You can combine them, or to deal with any spiritual thought abilities on some inception status. Going beyond that it takes some genius work, and still even other is based in most likely one or multiple of the other types. So take that for what's worth. Unexpected one to like, comment, subscribe, tell me your thoughts. This was a much needed video. This video is a long time coming, and especially if any of my subscribers ask for me to go into greater detail, especially on the whole open-ended, narrow perspective, I will. Alright, y'all, till next time, have a good day.